Welcome to Biz Lounge. Satyan Gajwani, CEO of Times Internet, the digital arm of the Times of India Group, India's largest media company, joins us today. Satyan, who's 28 years old, is married to the Times Group vice chairman's daughter and has been at the helm of Times Internet for a year now. He talks to us about the changes he's made to the company and his big plans for the future.
I've been working with the Times Group for about 4 years, a little over 4 years. I joined in Bennett Coleman, which is the group company, working on general business development and on the group's digital strategy. And about a year ago, I moved into this role of being the CEO of Times Internet. And so the difference is before I used to be able to talk about digital strategy and then walk away and do something else. Today I'm expected to actually do the digital strategy, and so it's a little bit more hands-on than it was before. Today, Times Internet operates 15 to 20 different businesses with over 2,500 employees and varying everywhere from e-commerce to news to music streaming to video streaming to local city guides to mobile operator related services across a huge gamut of different online services. We need to excel at, and what we do excel at, is building out consumer-facing digital products. To build great digital products, you have to know and live and breathe and be a part of that digital ecosystem. It can't be something where I can read a PowerPoint presentation and then tell someone else to go build it. You have to really know it, inside of you. And for me, I grew up in the US, I went to Stanford, and essentially half of my friends dropped out of school and started some of the companies you know today. And so I've sort of been bred around a very digital ecosystem, and so when people interact with me, they get a sense probably that I have a pretty natural understanding of digital products.
Satyan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, so Times Internet has been around since 1999, and today you have a portfolio of web and internet businesses. Tell us about some of the changes you've made since you've gotten to the organization.
Sure. So I've been CEO of Times Internet for about 1 year now. And it's a very unique business because it has a lot of different businesses operating. And in the digital space, everything is sort of in an investment mode for a long time. So it was a very unique portfolio to inherit in that sense. But I think there's been really 3 major changes that we've made to try to orient ourselves better for success. First is that as a company, we've set our priorities more on being successful in the product and technology, more than just on the content side, which is a little bit weird for a media company traditionally. But we've said, rather than being a content company that uses technology, we should be a technology company that uses content. And so that means more rigor on things like back-end and on development and on information architecture and all these very technical things. Second is that most digital businesses that are really big are really inefficient. And so that's why traditionally most media companies have not been very successful on the internet. And so our solution to that was, despite the fact that we have 2,500 employees and run a lot of different businesses, rather than thinking of ourselves as one large internet business that I'm the CEO of, instead we really perceive ourselves more as a collective of startups, each with their own mission, identity, sense of ownership, and their own leaders. So I was very clear from the day I took this job that I don't want to run a single business because I don't have the personal bandwidth to do so. And each of our businesses has 10 competitors. It needs a leader who is passionate and driven behind that business.
So how many of your businesses are profitable and how many aren't?
So not many. I don't think we're not at the stage yet where any or maybe a very small number of our businesses are generating profit, and if that meaningful profit. But that's not really the benchmark for us today. And it sounds a little weird because we are a corporate entity. But our interest today, and I think this is probably some of the mistakes that we've made in the past, is that we've been too centric around which businesses are breaking even, which businesses are profitable. Today, our attitude is which businesses are winning. And if our businesses are winning, then what's the prospect and what's the next step in evolution for that business? And so then the question is, does this business have a chance of winning, or is it in a leadership position? And if not, then we have to have a more hard conversation about it. But if so, then we may say, let's lose more money behind this business because we think that it's going to establish a better opportunity going forward.
How much money are you investing in your various businesses?
So it varies business to business. In aggregate, across all of our digital businesses, it would be probably a few hundred crores, maybe 150 to 250 crores. But it's very opportunistic. There may be some business that we say we should put 50 crores or 75 crores behind. Right. There may be some where we say we'll put 2 crores and see what happens. Right. We have an incubation arm called T Labs, which puts 10 lakhs into different companies. We really look at a very different spectrum of investment. And it's purely based on what the business needs.
And how is Times Internet different from the rest of the Times Group businesses?
That's a good question. I've been fortunate that I've had a lot of freedom to shape Times Internet to be whatever made sense for Times Internet. And I think unlike most media businesses, Times Internet has to operate very differently to have a chance of success. The major reason why it's different is that unlike a TV business or a print business or a radio business where you have a finite number of competitors because not everyone can afford to launch a satellite or set up a printing press or establish radio towers, we have infinite competition because the cost of setting up a website is, it's nothing, right? It's 2 guys in a garage for a couple of months and a bunch of Maggi noodles, and that's enough to start something. Right. So structurally and spiritually, we've had to say that our business has to be very flat. It has to be very people-centric and not capital-centric necessarily. And so everything about empowering our leaders and setting these up to be small entrepreneurial units, they're not preferences, they're requirements for us. If we don't do that, we won't be able to succeed.
And generally, what's your take on the future of this space, given that some of the best companies in this realm who've been at it for a while still aren't profitable?
One of the major differences about India versus, say, the US is that the time and scale required before you say you become an established digital business is way longer, right? So Groupon launched and within 2 years IPO'd in the US. In India, there would be very few digital stories that took less than 10 years to hit an established position. And so that's why you have very few digital sort of IPOs, so to speak. So I think the biggest challenge of the internet is that unlike other industries, it is very much winner take all. It's not in an industry generally that allows 5 people to have successful ventures. And so the risk-reward dynamics of the industry are just very weird. And that's why most big companies have not done well with it, because a big company is used to saying, I invest 100 crores, I have a 70-80% chance of making that money back and then some as a return. I launch a new retail store, I do this, it happens, it's traditional. Here, you can be Microsoft and spend $1 billion launching Bing.com, and at the end of the day have very little to show for it. Which is a scary proposition. There's no industry really outside of the digital world where you can put $1 billion in and end up with something that may have no value back. And so it's just a very weird risk-reward appetite.
Interesting, Satyan. We have to take a quick break here.
Sure.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.